What's going on, everybody? So, I got a semi-late review for SummerSlam 2023. Let's jump right into it. So, the first match of the night was Logan Paul versus Ricochet. And it was a good match. I wouldn't say the best way to open pay-per-view like SummerSlam, but it wasn't bad either. It was like in that middle ground where it was like, you could accept it as the beginning match, but you also know that it could have been a better match to open up the show, to set the tone for how the rest of the show was going to go. But they did their thing. They hit the high-flying moves. They played up their little rivalry. But in the end, Logan Paul would get the victory due to cheating interference when Ricochet tried to hit this the 450 or whatever it's called, off the top rope. And he missed because Logan rolled out the way, and while the referee was tending to Ricochet, Logan's friend, whoever he was, came and gave him some brass knucks. And when Ricochet got back into it and tried to grab Logan would hit him with his finisher, which is just the right hand or whatever, with the brass knucks, pinned to 1, 2, 3. And Samantha Reed did end up having to say the winner is Logan Paul. We all know this went on first because Logan wanting to get to his brother's fight. That was the backstage word on the match. That's why the match went first. The second match was Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes. And this was a typical Brock Lesnar match, with Cody Rhodes having some offense at first, but then Brock Lesnar German suplex and all that type of stuff. And then he kept throwing him out the ring and telling him to save himself after a certain amount of German suplexes in the ring. The rest of the match, for the majority of the match, he just kept like German suplexing him, throwing him out the ring, trying to get a count-out victory, telling him to save himself. But Cody refused to stay down. So then after a while of this, he changed it up and got outside the ring and F5'd him. And then told him to save himself. Cody Rhodes still kept getting up and beating the count. So at that point, after the F5 on the side of the ring, he was like, okay, I'm going to try something different. Instead of F5ing you on the outside of the ring, I'm going to F5 you through this table. And then got back to the ring and told the referee to count and told Cody to save himself again. And then Cody still refused. Then he got back up and beat the count anyway and basically told Brock, come on. Then they start fighting, and doing which another German suplex, but this time because they was tangling with each other at a turnbuckle. Cody Rhodes actually ripped one of the turnbuckle covers off and got German suplex, but then later on Cody would push Brock into this turnbuckle, which was causing him to get some moves off. The Kimura, I think he put Brock in the Kimura lock as well. Brock did put Cody earlier in the match in the Kimura lock, but then he would put Brock in the Kimura lock, and then he would hit 3 crossroads once Brock got out of that, and thus Cody Rhodes won the match. This was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it. It was a little bit better than the previous match, the opener match, but it was still a good match nonetheless. And Brock Lesnar actually went on script and acknowledged Cody Rhodes by shaking his hand, and raising his hand in victory to the crowd, showing that he actually giving his respect. And Triple H said as much in the press conference that this was Brock Lesnar going on script, though that could have just been scripted for Triple H to say that all could have been scripted. It could really be that Brock Lesnar went off script. Who knows? The next match, the third match of the night, was the Slim Jim Battle Royal that featured LA Knight and Omos, who haven't been seen in a while, but he was in there and he dominated. LA Knight has some good moments along with Bronson Reed. I mean, in the end, it came down to LA Knight, Sheamus, and AJ Styles, but AJ Styles had earlier eliminated Karrion Kross, so this came back to hunt AJ Styles as he was getting ready to do the phenomenal forearm on Sheamus, and since AJ Styles had went over the top rope, Karrion Kross came back and just grabbed him and eliminated him and yelled at him that it wasn't over. This left LA Knight and Sheamus, who did their thing, and Sheamus ended up getting eliminated by LA Knight for LA Knight to win. Thus, I guess they was staying true that this push was going to happen pretty much his push was going to just solidify that. I guess his push will be happening after SummerSlam. But yeah, and then he finally got the victory that people was hoping he would get a victory in. People pretty much any match he's in, the crowd expects him to win it, and they finally got him actually winning the match. So after that, we got Rhonda versus Shayna in the MMA rules match. Now you wonder why I'm smiling, because this was definitely not an MMA rules match. I mean, it said it was. Did they fight like they was using MMA? Yes. Did Shayna get a shiner? Yes. So there was some MMA fighting, but it was controlled. You could tell this was just a controlled wrestling match that allowed kicking to the head and stuff like that, like they was MMA. They did allow like a real because the referee said this was a non-sanctioned WWE match. This was an MMA match, so therefore they did throw Shayna through a real MMA kick along with Rhonda, but it wasn't. You could tell it was controlled because they kicks was slow, they punches was slow. You could tell they was holding back. So basically, what I'm trying to say is this match was really not an MMA/UFC match. This was just a glorified, no disqualification, hardcore submissions match. Because that's basically what it was. It was basically just a match. It was just a submission match that allowed MMA kicks and punches and had no rope breaks and stuff like that. And in the end, Shayna Baszler got the victory over Rhonda. But I was kind of disappointed because what was the point of calling this an MMA rules match if it was little MMA and more just submission and wrestling? We got the next match, which is, stay with me now, this is match number, I put up 5. This is Drew McIntyre versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, and man, this was hard hitting. This is where things started picking up now. We starting to get into the matches that was actually planned and booked to be good. And this was the start of it. And this match, man, was hard hitting. I mean, these two guys beat the hell out of each other. And I mean beat the hell out of each other. This is only to be expected when he go against, like, I expect that when Gunther go up against somebody like Drew and Sheamus, they beating the hell out of each other. And that's what they did. They beat the hell out of each other. It did seem like, I'm about to say Sheamus. It did seem like Drew was on the verge of beating Gunther because Gunther couldn't really get the upper hand on him. But it was until they went to the top ropes one too many times, and Drew McIntyre ended up falling, but he fell bottom half in the lower man region, the weakness of the man, on top of the ropes, which caused Gunther to get his offense going with a clothesline. And then he did a clothesline, he did something else, then he did his powerbomb and pinned Drew 1, 2, 3. Thus, they really are, because I think he needs like a month to beat the Honky Tonk Man's to be the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. I think he needs like a month. And I think he is. I think that's when he's going to lose. Once he gets to that month and becomes the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, that's when he's going to lose. So we get to the Seth Rollins. Now, this is the 6th match. We get to Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this was a match of the night. This was the good match. I mean, they tore the house down. And I expect this because both Finn Balor and Seth Rollins Seth freaking Rollins are very well talented performers, and they did their thing. And I would have preferred if they, I don't know how I would say this. I would prefer that if the match would have ended with a decisive, like without interference. But it's the MO of the Judgment Day. So during the match, Damian Priest came out and he went like this and he called out Rhea and Dominic. They tried to interfere to try to help him, but Finn Balor wanted to stick to. I kept hearing him say we was going to stick to Plan A, so I'm guessing them interfering was Plan B, and he didn't feel like they needed Plan B yet. But all this argument and back and forth with distraction backfired on Finn Balor when one too many times of them distracting. They tried to give him the briefcase, and it looked like he was going to take the briefcase and use it, but Seth Rollins would end up giving him the stomp onto the briefcase and putting him 1, 2, 3. And after being raised to victor, holding his title, he would drop to his knees and stare down Damian Priest, which I think signals that Damian Priest is pretty much going to be the next opponent. And given what happens next, I think Damian Priest is going to be successful when he cashes it in. Now, to segue into what happened next. This was the 7th match, which is the co-main event, I would say, if we are talking like boxing or UFC. This is the co-main event, which is Charlotte Flair versus Asuka versus Bianca Belair for the WWE Women'S Championship. Now, before I move on to this, I would say this. My only gripe, and I'm going to reiterate this, but my only gripe with the previous match, which is Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins, was that Rhea was relegated. She's the WWE World. She's the World Heavyweight Women's Champion, and she has not meaningfully done anything with her title reign as of late. So I need them to fix that. I really do. I need them to fix that. But yeah, this match was good. Asuka, Charlotte, Bianca, they did their thing. They tore the house down as well. I will say this, I'm happy that Charlotte didn't get the victory, but I'm going to tell you who did, but I'm glad it wasn't Charlotte. But they did their thing, they played up the drama angle with the fact that Bianca suffered an injury during the match, but that kind of told me who was winning the match, because that means I know what's going to happen. Once they played up an ankle injury, and it was Bianca who got the ankle. It wasn't Asuka who got the injury. It was Bianca. So I'm like, But anyway, the match was good. And at one point, Bianca had to be taken out because it looked like she was going to be unable to continue to participate, but she ended up coming back and stopping Asuka from getting the submission on Charlotte. But then Charlotte would battle, and then Charlotte would put her and her injured leg in the figure 4. Then she bridged it into the figure 8. This looked like Charlotte's crowning moment. She's going to become a 15-time world champion, and then at that moment, Asuka came and missed Charlotte in the face. Charlotte couldn't stay in the bridge of the figure 8. So now she's like, my eyes. She just reptiled me. And while she's basically dealing with the pain of having the mist in her eyes, she still had Bianca in the figure 4, but it was it was still in, but it was loosely in to where you could tell Bianca wasn't at as much pain, but she was still trying to get out of it. And then she noticed that Asuka had got into position to try to do something to her, and she ducked it, rolled up Asuka, and Asuka would get the pinfall. Asuka. But Bianca would get the victory. 1, 2, 3. Bianca Belair is your new WWE Women's Champion. Now, we're moving on. Wait a minute. It's not over yet. Then, right as Bianca is celebrating, Io Sky's music hit, and she runs down. Bianca, she's like, oh my God. She's trying to lift herself up, and Asuka and Io and Bailey running down to the ring. They take out Charlotte first, and then they take out Asuka because Asuka tried to stop them. They take her out, and then they looking at Bailey. They know they're about to attack. So they looking at Bianca. So Bianca like, okay. it's coming regardless. I gotta stop it myself. Then took out the other two competitors. So she takes out Bayley. But because he was distracted with taking out Bayley, this allows Io to use the briefcase to hit Bianca in the back of her injured leg, which allowed Io to hit I forgot what she did to put her down, but she hit a move to put her down. Then she hit her moonsault off the top rope and pinned Bianca 1, 2, 3. Now the title changes hands again, and this time Io Sky is now the new WWE Women's Champion. They also, I forgot to mention that they did announce that I guess there's going to be a commentary switch. Now Michael Cole and Wade Barrett are not going to be on Raw, and Corey Graves and will be on SmackDown with Corey Graves and Patrick is going to be going to SmackDown, but Michael Cole is going to also be there on SmackDown too. So I guess now they made sure that both shows has a 3-man commentary team. So the next match we get is Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship, and this was a good match. This was a very good match. The only problem I had with it that it was tribal combat, and it's two things. It was tribal combat, but it was tribal combat just basically meant that it really was just a hardcore Extreme Rules match. It really wasn't nothing different than that. And the other thing I had a problem with was that, for the fact that they build it like that, it was supposed to be, this is a tribal combat, so this is like tribal tradition for them, and we wasn't going to get no interference because this is sacred. This is supposed to be 2 men battling out to decide a winner, and it didn't go that way. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because even though they was having a good 1-on-1 match, and it was going back and forth, pinfalls, near pinfalls, drama. It was good, right? Until Roman started retreating into the crowds, and Jey was following him, beating him up, and then all of a sudden Solo comes out of nowhere. Now I'm not saying I didn't expect Solo to get involved. I figured that was going to happen, but I would have loved for it not to happen. I was disappointed that it did not happen, because it would have played up to this tribal combat thing where this is going to be just them two deciding who will be the next head of the table and the new champion. But it did not work out like that, because Roman actually let Solo interfere and help him. And then when Solo got taken out by Jey, who basically it was a little drama too. I forgot. It's a little drama with Roman Reigns and Solo, because Roman Reigns and Solo was trying to do their little Samoan Spike Spear combo, but Jey pushed Solo and moved Solo into the way of it. But that didn't stay for long, because I guess once Solo recovered, they started beating down on Jey. But then Solo stopped beating down on Jey to look at Roman, because he was upset that Roman speared him, and he said, "You're gonna betray me because of that." Basically trying to say that was an accident, but you're gonna get mad at me because of that. And Solo looked like he was really legit pissed at well, not legit, but he was really pissed at what you would call it at Roman. I didn't mean to go down. There we go. I was trying to adjust my seat, but yeah. So in the end, they was about to get into it, but Jey would spear him through the announcer table. Through the barricade. But this will allow Solo to take advantage, as he was hesitant at first because he didn't know who you wanted to attack. But then he did a job to attack Jey, but this allowed them to, this is what I meant. He took Solo out, where he basically threw him on the announcer table after a super kick, and then did a splash to the announcer table, taking Solo out for the rest of the match. And then he would hit Roman with the spear and a splash. This was over. This was 1, 2, 3. Roman is about to lose here. Jey is about to be the new Universal WWE Universal Undisputed Champion, and the head of the table, and the tribal chief. But out of nowhere, somebody pulls Jay out of the ring, and the man is revealed to be Jimmy Uso. Now, I figured Jimmy was going to interfere, but I thought it was going to be on the half of Jay. But it was to betray Jay. And I'm like, what? What? And yeah, he so when Jay, got to his knees and looked to see that it was his brother Jimmy, he was like, "What are you doing? Where are you doing?" And then Jimmy would super kick Jay and throw him back into the ring, which allows Roman to spear him through the table that was set up earlier. Thus, 1, 2, 3, Roman is still the tribal chief and the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. This match was over. Jay should have won. I want Roman Reigns to lose. I'm tired of Roman Reigns being champion. He's been champion long enough, damn it. But so the bloodline story continues. I'm guessing that Payback now is gonna be Jay versus Jimmy. Wow. Okay. Yeah, this was a good match. Like I said, I still have a problem with it being the fact that the tribal rules and not being really a the tribal combat not really adhering to no interference because of tribal tradition. But whatever. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought, because I want to give this a 8 out of 10 big ups, because that's how good it was. It was an 8 out of 10. It wasn't a 9 or a 10 out of 10, but it was definitely an 8, which gave it a solid good pay-per-view. Was it as good? This SummerSlam felt like it wasn't as good as last year's SummerSlam, but it was definitely not as. It wasn't way too far from it. It was just not as good. But like I said, you let me know in the comments down below what you thought, and if you enjoyed my video, you hit this button right there for all of my WWE reviews. And if you enjoyed the video so much you want to support the channel, all you gotta do is hit those buttons. And as always, hit any one of these videos for more of my amazing content. But don't go anywhere. I got more coming your way. Peace.